Thank Tom. We're back. My first guest tonight, you all know from his, probably best known for his exploits in outer space, but he's got a new series on the air, which he plays a policeman called T.J. Hooker, which, as they say, is seen on another network. One of those other networks on Saturday nights. You could probably check it out and find out where it is. And he's going to be making a guest appearance on NBC November 7th, a new edition of TV's Censored Bloopers. Would you welcome, please, William Shatner. Good to see you.
Good to see you, John.
Yeah, I know you're shooting your series right now. Wouldn't you like to have, you've had such a great run, because most people know on television, if you get a series that stays on a couple of years, you're a hit. And then Star Trek went how long?
Well, it really only went 3. It's been rebroadcast so many times, it seems like it's been on forever. Of course, your series has been on forever.
And it seems like forever. Then you turn around, I got caught coming back from New York the other day. I'd never seen Star Trek, the movie, with Ricardo.
Yeah.
You do amazing stuff. When you do those scenes, are you aware of all the other stuff that's going on, or does that come in later?
The special effects?
Yeah, because that's difficult for actors sometimes to react to a scene that is not really there.
What they usually do is they have a storyboard,
right,
and the director is sufficiently familiar with what it's going to potentially look like,
right,
describes it to the actors, and sometimes even has it drawn,
right,
so that the unknown enemy is at least conceived.
So you know somewhere.
Somewhere, somewhat. Yeah.
Somebody told me you emceed a show at the Improv, the Improvisation.
Yeah, I just did it this past weekend.
For people who don't know what the Improv is, it is one of the places out here where a lot of young comedians work. The other's a Comedy Store. There are several of them.
Yeah, in fact, that's why I did it. Comedy talent is so rare,
right,
as you only too well know, and you foster it on this show, and they do it on that show.
Right.
And I wanted to see what was happening, and did an opening monologue, which...
You did a monologue?
Well, your stuff, you're out in front of the audience,
right,
and you're pretty certain of you're going to get a good reaction. People don't expect me to be funny, I guess, and so the guy had submitted some material, and I said, no, that doesn't seem like it would be right. And he said, well, what about this? They say that when you read the phone book, a good actor can make it interesting, and a great comic can make it funny. So he gave me a list of names.
And you just read?
I just read it. Of course, I had to add a few things like a nose and glasses and whistle and a siren gun, a few props to make it. But it worked. But when you started it, when one started,
right,
you didn't know the material was going to work.
Somebody once said a good actor, and I don't know who tells this story, and I guess I read it in the paper the other day, that when Richard Burton was in a play, he would say to somebody that I'm going to do this scene in the play, which was the same every night. And he said, during this scene, I'm going to make the audience cry tonight, and tomorrow, playing the same scene, I will make them laugh.
Mm-hmm.
And he would take the same dialogue within the play, and I guess because of his ability as an actor, would make him cry in one scene, but doing the same dialogue the next night,
yeah,
would make them laugh.
I suppose it sounds good. I don't know how that fits into the context of the play, though.
Yeah, I don't either.
I mean, if you're supposed to cry and you laugh, I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah,
right.
On a death scene.
For the following scene, you know.
How's your new series going? It's going well?
It's going really well. It's the numbers are the magic numbers are climbing higher.
Right.
We're taking our time slot, and we're really getting in there.
Right.
It's really going well. I'm very proud of the show.
Yeah.
We have a show coming up, for example, that it's called A Cry for Help, which is based on an idea that I came in with, having worked with a group called the Junior Justice Connection Project, which deals with juvenile crime.
Right.
And this show is all based on a real-life event that took place. It espouses citizens getting concerned with juveniles, because
right,
that's the only thing that will help us now that funds are being cut back. And the Juvenile Justice Connection Project is going to premiere it. It's a big event, and it's on television. It's on what is commonly a series, which is
right,
really just every day, you know. But here's something, a special event, a real-life thing, and a good thing. It's a positive element of television, as against all the violence and harm that we see so much of.
You do some of your own, or a lot of your own stunts, which many of the studios or networks do not like their stars to do.
Well,
to get involved,
I
and
do.
yet I know the stars like to do that,
Well,
because you want to make it realistic.
And exciting.
Yeah.
There's an element of excitement that somebody else doing it doesn't have, you know. I mean, I've seen you jump off of heights and
We have done strange
immersed
things
in-
on this show.
and that adds an air of excitement. Will Johnny emerge or not?
Yeah, the audience likes to see, will he kill himself
Yes.
tonight? Yeah.
And imagine the headlines if Johnny does kill himself. You know?
What a way to
Johnny
go, though.
kills himself. Of
On
course,
show.
You're not there to laugh at it. Well, that's what the studio's
What was the
afraid of.
stunt with the plane, the small plane coming down the runway? And somebody said you were supposed to hang on to like the wing strut or something?
There was a hooker, mad hooker,
Right.
runs after an airplane with the bad guy in it.
Right.
Airplane turns around and chases mad hooker. Hooker dodges out of the way and grabs a hold of the spar and
Right.
hangs on for dear life. Plane takes off. Hooker draws his gun and says to the bad guy, land this plane or...
No, they didn't want you to do that, did they?
No. They said, don't do that.
Well, now that makes perfectly good sense.
Well, up to a point, I thought
I mean,
it
if
made
you get
perfect-
hurt, they could close down the series.
That's true, and I didn't certainly want to go up into the air. What I did want to do was be chased by the airplane.
Sure.
They said the prop, which is the propeller, as you know, going around. And I said, well, you got a point, but I still want to do it, and they wouldn't let me do it. So I went into my dressing room, and I sulked for a while.
I want the
I wanna
plane to
do-
chase me.
Yes, and finally, they let me do part of it.
Yeah.
An actor can sulk, you know.
See, you know your show would be in trouble if they'd say, go ahead and do it. That's where you know
the
you're...
ratings had just
when you're
come
going
in
off
and-
the air, they come in and say, we want you to do that airplane stunt with that prop real close. Then you know it's bye-bye time.
I know the studio and the actor are in fights all the time because of that, but I think it has an air of excitement. The police all around our show
Right.
are excited by it. The policemen like us and like me because we
That's
give the policemen a good name. I've had many occasions to talk to policemen. I understand you've had some occasions
Yes,
to talk
yes,
to them.
yes, I have. It wasn't a long discussion. I did most of the listening, and
But you know,
they get along just fine.
They know exactly what they're doing all the time. You know, with the helmets on and the
Yes,
glasses and the things they say, they know exactly what they're
Right.
doing. I mean, they're taught this lessons 1 and 2 on intimidation.
Yeah.
You know, wear mirrored glasses and approach the car and ask, just where do you think you're going? You know, with a series of inflections. Just where do you think you're going? Sarcasm.
They have an image out here, yeah.
Aggressive.
Can be intimidating.
Just where do you think you're going?
Have you ever been stopped?
I was stopped by a policeman.
Yeah? What were you doing?
I
Anything?
was speeding. I was speeding, but I had a mission.
Oh.
I was going where no man
I
had
had-
gone before. I was.
The old mission ploy. The old I have a mission ploy.
But I was going home.
Well, what kind of a mission is that?
My wife had called me
Right.
that a mouse that we had been stalking for 2 weeks and that had been robbing the not only the pantry but the traps that we
Yeah.
had been
You
setting.
mean to tell me that a highway patrolman stopped you and you got off by telling him
I said,
that you were going
"Officer,
home to kill a mouse?
Officer, I said, I'm speeding to go kill my mouse, a mouse that my wife has panted about. I got my BB gun right here, and I'm going to hunt the mouse. And he said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Go. But that's not all.
Yeah.
2 weeks later, I was skiing up at Mammoth on a bright lit night, moonlit night,
Right.
and I'm lying in a camper with my wife, and I hear. And I knew by the sound of it, it was a rat. And I had to go and get the rat. And I thought I'd jack-lantern the rat with a flashlight and a ski pole. And
Yes.
I was stalking the rat, and I flipped open a cabinet, and there the rat was staring at me. The rat was huge.
Right.
My wife said, open the door, let the rat out. So I opened the door, and meanwhile I had the ski pole, and I was whacking at the rat. And finally the rat jumped at me, I dodged, and it ran outside into the parking lot, one of the parking lots at Mammoth. And I ran after it.
Why would you do that, Bill?
Well, I don't wear anything when I sleep at night. And I had this ski pole in my hand. And I had the bloodlust in my eyes. I wanted to kill this rat so badly. And I was after it, banging away at these depressions in the snow, 18 inches of new fallen snow.
And you're nude.
And I'm new. And I hear a voice. Just where do you think you're going?
I hope
I said, officer, I'm chasing a rat.
I hope it wasn't the same cop
Same
who got
cop.
you on
There
the...
it
Yeah,
goes,
the
there
same.
it goes, there it goes. And I
That's
said,
a
I'm
fun-
chasing a rat, so I clutched my swing. He said, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
That's
And I
a funny,
ran back
that's a
in.
funny story. So your show is on Saturday night, TJ Hooker, right?
Yes.
Going well. I know you're shooting tonight. I thank you for coming. I wish you
thank you
great
for
luck with
asking.
it. I hope it's a big hit for you.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you. And drive carefully.
I sure.
Thank you, Bill. We'll be right back. Stay where you are. Just where do you think you're going? Thanks, Bill.